Welcome to Hairy Tale Farm, children. Today we're going to read Sebastian the Screaming Roo, a Hairy Rooster Tale. And we're going to be reading to Matilda as she sits up in the tree, waiting to go to bed. Now let's get reading. When Sebastian was a young, freshly hatched little Roo, he loved being with his mommy wherever she went. Gina loved to take him room to room in the house and sit him close to her. This was Sebastian's favorite shelf. As Sebastian started to get bigger, he got very comfortable sleeping in his mommy's hand. He was so soft and fluffy. Gina loved holding him in her hands. Before Gina knew it, Sebastian was getting bigger and bigger. As he grew, his feathers grew. His feathers grew in with lots and lots of spots. And guess what? He still loved to sit in his mommy's hands. Then one day, Sebastian was no longer a little Roo. He was a big, grown-up rooster. What a proud rooster he became, showing off his long white hair and long curly black tail. He knows he is a big boy now. He even crowed louder than any other rooster. Now that he was a big Roo, he was ready to move into his brand new big boy coop. Sebastian didn't know what to think of this new coop in the yard. He pranced around it and crowed and crowed. At one point, Gina thought she actually heard him scream at it. That night, Gina picked Sebastian up and gave him hugs and kisses goodnight. She placed him in the coop to tuck him into bed. He was surprised by this, and he let out a loud scream. But by morning, he was happy and realized he liked his new coop a lot. Sebastian loved to play with his brother Grayson. Sometimes Grayson would get carried away playing, and Sebastian would scream at him. "Now be nice and don't scream at your brother," Gina said. Gina was cleaning up the yard and threw away an old feed bucket. Sebastian didn't like this, and he let out a loud scream. "Be patient, Sebastian. I have a new, bigger food dish for you to eat from," Gina explained. Well, this made him very happy. He ate happily from his new dish. One of Sebastian's favorite things to do was follow Gina as she weeded the garden. He loved to eat bugs. This was very good for the vegetables, but worms were his favorite. Sometimes eating bugs in the garden was too exciting. It was hard for the hungry Roo not to eat the yummy vegetables, too. He would let out a loud scream when Gina would stop him from eating the veggies. "Sorry, those are for the family first," Gina said. Gina enjoyed spending time sitting on her bench, admiring all the flowers and vegetables. When she sat down, Sebastian would fly up on her shoulder. He loved to rest on Gina after feasting on all the bugs and greens. When resting time was over, and it was time for Gina to go back inside, she would put Sebastian down. And no surprise, he would scream because he didn't want to get down from Gina's shoulder. Sebastian would even follow Gina when she would go for walks. One day, when they got too close to a neighbor's car, the car alarm went off. It startled Sebastian so much, and you can be sure his scream was the loudest yet. He screams when he sees a mouse in his house. "There's a mouse in my house, get it out!" This made Gina chuckle. It was late one day when Gina couldn't find Sebastian when she went to collect eggs. She searched all over the yard. She finally found him way in the back of the yard, perched on a fallen branch. He started screaming when he saw Gina and pointed on the ground with his beak. Gina came to see why the screaming Roo wouldn't leave when she called for him. There, hidden in the fallen branches, was a pile of eggs. The chickens were trying to hide their eggs. Those silly chickens! "What a good rooster you are! Thank you for telling Mommy where the eggs were. But it's time for bed now. It's getting really cold." Sebastian was happy Gina was holding him until she said it was time for bed. So of course he screamed. The next morning, when Sebastian came down the ramp from the coop where he slept, he saw something strange and new. What is all this white stuff floating in the air, he wondered. The air was calm and cold, but filled with snowflakes. Sebastian had never seen snow before. When Gina let him out in the morning, he was slow and unsure about coming out. He started to walk around and check out the snow. My feet are so cold, he screamed. Gina chuckled at his reaction to the snow. She picked him up and held him in her hands. Sebastian loved it when she held him like this, and Gina liked being able to see the hairy rooster's eyes. Gina learned that Sebastian just likes to be loud sometimes. He is a very good rooster and a happy rooster. I love you, my silly Screaming Roo. Thank you for reading with me today. Do you want to read the story again? And say goodnight to Matilda. Good night, Matilda. And join us again for more story time on Hairy Tale Farm.